Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Hey, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ladies and gentlemen, Coco Sports proudly presents 5 stars or better. That's right, the Coco Crew here, yours truly, sexiest man on all of internet wrestling radio. Boom Boom here, shaking the room, live from the RVA, Richmond, Virginia, and my tag team partner for life, Dave Coco, way there across the pond in Tokyo, Japan. We're going down the list of matches ranked 5 stars or better by wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer. Now, this week, Coco, we have landed on one from All Japan Pro Wrestling. This is Kuniaki Kobayashi versus Tiger Mask 2. This took place on March the 9th, 1985 in Sumo Hall. For a little bit of context to this match, this was for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. Now, at the time period when this was going on, let's see here, Kobayashi had left. He was originally a New Japan guy, and then he went on excursion to North America. He'd come back, he'd returned, and then he had left. Let's see here. I'm pulling up my notes here. Uh, in September of '84, it's part of this faction that left to form Japan Pro Wrestling. And Japan Pro Wrestling had formed an agreement with All Japan Pro Wrestling. So from about, and this takes place in '85, he left New Japan to go with a faction, with people like Tetsumi Fujinami and Takada, the guy that we talked about last week in the UWF match. They'd formed their own promotion, which then allied with All Japan. So anyway, he's now he wrestled from about '84 to '87 with All Japan, and this was part of the NWA International Junior Heavyweight Championship, or excuse me, the World Junior Heavyweight Championship. And then you have Tiger Mask 2. Now, I stress Tiger Mask 2 because we've already reviewed a Tiger Mask match. That was him and Dynamite Kid was the first one we reviewed. This was a totally different guy under the hood. The original man was Satoru Sayama. Now, he left New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was just fed up with backstage politics and helped form the EWF. But the rights were still out there because, for those of you who may not know, Tiger Mask is actually like a manga. It was later adapted into an anime back in the late '60s, early '70s. And so they had the rights to the character, and after New Japan had originally had that, and then Sayori Saitama had left, and then All Japan picked up the rights, so they put Mitsuharu Misawa under the mask. Now, get used to hearing that name because Misawa, as it stands right now, has the most number of 5-star matches or better. He had currently, well, I guess, I'm sorry, I poor choice of words there, has 25 matches in his career ranked 5 stars or better by Meltzer. So get used to hearing that name. But I had never really got a chance to see Misawa's cruiserweight work before this. Now, I remember, Dave Coco here actually introduced me to Misawa, telling me about him, so I checked out some of the stuff. And I know him as like a big, a huge guy, a heavyweight, kind of a ground-based style, really strong style-based style. But I didn't know that early on in his career he was really a cruiserweight. And so I finally got a chance to see his work. And so that brings us to this match with Kobayashi. Now, Coco, I swear to you, up and down, I double-checked the dates, and I made sure that I had all my ducks in a row here, and I watched the match here. And let me get you into it here. They start out with Tiger Mask coming out, and then Kobayashi comes in, and then he jumps Tiger Mask at the bell. The referee's trying to get him apart, and then they formally start the match, and then they go to work. I see a lot of I don't want to say acrobatics, but I see stuff that we would use commonly in cruiserweight matches today. Notably, like pescados, the planchas, some stuff somewhat resembling suicide dives. There was a lot of acrobatics, particularly there was like a somersault kick by Tiger Mask. Kobayashi bringing the thunder there with some kicks, like a spinning kick, We even saw some tombstone pile drivers. So, Coco, just by watching this, what did you think initially, of this? These two tied it up.
First off, Misawa is one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time.
Hmm.
I'm so glad that he has the most 5-star matches because I don't mind reliving his matches over and over. I'm gonna have two full of shit moments that
Hmm.
these shows are showing. First off, before we get to the full of shit moments, how much do 80s Japanese wrestling love pile drivers? I
Oh
think
my
I've seen
God!
more pile drivers in these three
Oh, I
episodes than
know.
I've seen in my whole life.
I know they love the tombstone pile driver. There was even like an old school like stuff pile driver that Tiger Mask did on Kobayashi.
We might as well just call this Pile Driver for Stars. That's the name of the show. No, but the two things are full of shit is lazy heavyweight wrestlers going, oh, fucking, we didn't do that back in their day. Yeah, they did. They had great cruiserweight wrestling back in the day. The J Cup. Go fuck yourselves, you fat fucks. Second thing
Hmm.
is full of shit. Japanese fans are respectful. They sit on their hands and they're no. You're not over. You're not over. I don't know fucking who told you that fucking that happens.
Yeah, they tend to get into the match. Now, what I liked about, okay, here's what I liked about it. I liked the fact that they started out a little hot to kind of get the crowd into it, and they kind of slowed it down. They were doing some, mat-based stuff. They were trying to like slow it down. They were doing like test of strength, working the arms, doing like I don't know what it's formed like. It looks like a triangle choke, but he's behind the guy, and I actually have to show you here. But they gradually pick up the pace and the crowd is really getting into it. That's some elements that I did like about it.
Yeah. Overall, is yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a fast-paced match. I like the fact that he tacked him. That's not as common as people think it is.
Hmm.
So that was kind of a big shock. I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I enjoyed the match a lot. Sumo Hall, been there a bunch. It's a legendary arena, and I'm glad we're doing this because I'm hoping some of our younger fans, because, dude, besides me, you, and Wrestling Rented, probably no one
Hmm.
on YouTube is as old as us. But All Japan was big time back in the day,
Oh yeah,
and for the
all.
longest time, and like newer fans don't realize that. Newer fans like,
Mhm.
oh, All Japan's a joke. They're making a comeback. Oh, New Japan's always been
Yeah.
number one, and
What
that's
one
not the
thing
case at
one thing
all.
I want to say about All Japan is I think one that competition, but that kind of competition between Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki only made the companies better because they had dueling philosophies on what pro wrestling should be. So they always brought their A game because they were kind of because basically it was Baba and Inoki kind of basically a dick measuring contest to see whose style was better, who could draw more people, and plus that really helped out in the '90s. Now remember, over here in the '90s, before we're talking before the Monday Night Wars, before the Attitude Era, there was a period where I want to say right around the time the steroid trial started, right around 93, 92, 93, in that era, through about until the Monday Night Wars began in about what 96 was it 95 or 96? Coco, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm the worst person to ask it. I'm
I
a
think
walking
it,
concussion.
I think it was '96 because that's when Scott Hall had jumped on had gone on the show. Because no, yeah, because Nitro started in '95 and they kind of made a splash with Luger, but then '96 when Scott Hall appeared on there, like an invasion. Okay, so yeah, '96. So, but there was like this dead period here in the U.S. where wrestling had pretty much gone to hell. I mean, just it was they were not doing good business. But over in Japan, they were cranking out 5-star specials left and right, and we're going to get into some of that, especially with All Japan. And it was All Japan was just hitting on all cylinders until Giant Baba passed away. And when Baba passed away, it was the beginning. It was kind of like the beginning of the end for that promotion. And again, we're going to get into that, as we continue the series. But this match right here, Coco, I think it was a good shape. But here's the thing: do you think it lives up to the hype? Do you think it lives up to 5 stars?
For the time, yes, and I apologize for someone that said this. I usually love, this isn't my original idea, but I agree with it, or I wasn't the first one to say this.
Hmm.
It it started off fast, slow, fast. I think it's also a combination of the two 5-star matches that have already happened.
Hmm.
I think it's a combination of 2 stars that happened, and to me, I think it holds up. I just think the middle, as the Japanese would say, is so-so. But it's
Yeah.
also two different styles. The beginning of the match holds up, the end of the match holds up, and the middle, you know, I don't know by, Kenny Omega and Okada and, the Young Bucks, their 5-star matches, CM Punk in his prime. I don't think it holds up to that, but I definitely think it holds up. And I think just the middle is the questionable part. But at the same time, some people, different fans see different things. Different people rate different things. Some people might like that. Fast, slow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would get 5 stars today, but I think everyone would. 5 stars by Meltzer. You know what I mean? We're going off
Right.
Meltzer's scale here because I don't really rate matches. But I think a lot of people would be impressed with it. And I think, the worst you could say is, oh, it slowed down in the middle. But some people, every now and then, like it to slow down. And I thought they did a better job at, I'm going to just call it grappling than the 5-star grappling match did. I thought there was moments that they were hustling, and I like that in a grappling match. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, okay, my thoughts on this is I didn't like it. I don't think it would. I don't think it holds up. I don't think it's got 5 stars. But here's why. Um, one of my problems with this match was not the fact that they slowed it down. I'm completely fine with that. I mean, you got to you slap the audience in the face, so to speak, to get their attention. Then then you bring them down, and then you start building it back up to the crescendo, and then you end it. End it on a high note. I have no problem with that. One of the problems I had in this is gonna make me sound like an old guy, but I didn't like some of the selling. I didn't like because I mean, you talk about a guy would do essentially like a suicide dive to the outside, and then they just pop right back up and roll back in the ring, and I'm like, come on, dude, not even Young Bucks would do that shit. I mean, you've got to.
Well, the funny thing is, today's people are like, the Young Bucks are horrible. They would never do that back in the day. Not you. You sound ridiculous. Not you, but, the
No.
wrestlers.
Yeah, but I mean, there was spots where Tiger Mask would get just. I mean, he would. I mean, you're talking about he would just do a planche to the outside. I mean, hit absolutely nothing but the damn concrete floor, and then whoop, just pop right up and go back in and keep going like nothing happened. And I was like, some of that I didn't like, and plus this confrontation I didn't like because it ended in a count out draw, and they did like a suplex to the outside. It was really cool how they did it. It was like a suplex. They kind of caught him on the apron. Then he took the other guy over with him. They spilled to the floor. And to me, just from watching the match, they weren't out there that long. But the referee, I don't know if it's a 10 count in All Japan or a 20 count. But I mean, it seemed to go by really, really fast. I mean, literally, I mean, really fast. And next thing you know, 10 count. There's the bell, and they're getting back in the ring. What the hell?
Yeah,
At the
I
end
just
of
want to add something real quick, sir.
Mhm.
For me, I felt like, oh man, maybe someone's injured. Because in Japan, I know it's a 20 count in New Japan, and I'm pretty sure it's a 20 count in All Japan, but I'm not 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought maybe like, oh shit, maybe they thought he was injured, but I could be wrong. That was my
Yeah.
first reaction. It probably wasn't the case, but it felt that way.
And another reason why I don't think the match holds up and deserves 5 stars is because they had like, and this is another thing. This is why I said I double checked the date, Coco. Is I watched it and I was like, this can't be right. Something's not right. And because when you pull up the Tiger Mask 2 versus Kunaki Kobayashi, you find several matches. And so since I had extra time, Coco, I checked them out. I checked out their return match on June 21st of '85, and that was a better match. Kobayashi got the win with like a fisherman suplex. Then they had one more match in August of that year. I wasn't able to get the whole match, but from what I saw, I mean, this was like the last few minutes of the match. It's for the NWA International Junior Heavyweight Championship. Tiger Mask finally gets the win with like a half and half suplex. I mean, it was just, and granted, it wasn't the full match, but I saw part of it here. And these other two matches, in my opinion, were just so much better. The crowd was more into it. It had a decisive finisher. It looked great. So I would say that the match here, and now, unless I'm completely missing something, and again, I double checked the dates. The one that's listed here is the March 9th match that they had. It was ranked 5 stars or better. I disagree with it. I think the other two matches that they had later on that year, later on in the summer, were much better. And I think one or even both of those matches should have been the ones to make the list as a 5-star match.
And I just have a couple theories. I don't know. I'd like to see if maybe Meltzer breaks it down and talks about it. You know, and I'm not always going to defend Meltzer, but you know, you gotta see it. I also kind of wonder if Meltzer, you know what I mean? If Meltzer, it's the tape trading days. Maybe he has like an English speaking reporter he knows saying these matches are amazing. This is the first match he gets. He's like, yeah, that was pretty good. Not knowing that it's something better. You know, it was like kind of like when I introduced you to New Japan and I was like, oh, that's kind of a bad show, but you thought it was amazing, you know?
Right. Okay. Good. Great example. It's the best thing you've ever said on the show.
Someone clip that. That at least that's my theory behind it. But yeah, overall, I'm glad I found it, and I'm super excited to see 25 more Misawa matches. I love this idea. I love this plan. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Booms, you want to say anything before I turn to Plugfest 5000?
Yeah, anyway, after this, Kobayashi would continue to work with All Japan until 1987. And then he would return to New Japan later in 87, and he won the then vacant IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. In fact, he's the caretaker after his retirement. He's still involved in professional wrestling. He's the caretaker of the New Japan dojo, and he does, make some sporadic appearances here and there. There was one when he took place in the New Japan Rumble back on Wrestle Kingdom 11, and he was eliminated by Tiger Mask. Let's see, the last match I see him doing, he did a series of matches against Sayama and a team with him in 2013. It was basically him and Tiger Mask against Atsushi Onita. Yeah, so, still doing good. As far as Tiger Mask 2, now, Misawa would continue to wrestle as Tiger Mask until until 1990. He had wrestled, and he had suffered a knee injury, and he'd come back from that, and it really affected his style. And, he was having a hard time, because of the knee. He was having a hard time basically maintaining that cruiserweight style. So he wanted to focus more on a mat-based style, kind of like for lack of a better term, strong style. So what he did was during a match with Kawada and Yokohashi Yatsu and Samson Fuyuki, it was on May 14th. He asked Kawada to unmask him. He took off the tiger mask and started wrestling as himself. And then Then we're going to get more into his career here, and he went to a main event push as a single star under himself. So, but I never really got to see Misawa wrestle that cruiserweight style. So it's kind of good, for a guy that we all knew was wrestling like a heavyweight style to show that he could fly too back in the day.
Yeah, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I'm super excited to see it. And it's great to see Tiger Mask. I'm a big fan of Tiger Mask.
Yeah, interesting thing about Tiger Mask. This was Tiger Mask 2. There have been 5 men who've been under the hood with Tiger Mask.
And no matter what Cynical tells you, Dave Koco was not one of those men.
No, he was not.
Booms, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I can't look forward to the next match. Guys, I've been absolutely obsessed with Twitch, twitch.tv / KocoSports. I also made a blog, davecoco.com, where you can find out about my cartoons, my books, everything. And also KocoSports.net. David Cooey and Jerry O'Neill have been busting their ass, and me and Boom Boom are trying to come up with ways. This week, there's been a lot of content on this channel just because it's summer break, but me and Boom Booms want to at least do one show, and I really like this idea. I really like it a lot, Boom Boom. So give yourself a Barry Horowitz. Mm-hmm. Do you want to plug or say anything before we head out, brother?
No, just be sure to check us out. Like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Let us know what you think about the series. Now, if we haven't gotten to your favorite match yet, just be patient. We're working our way down the list here, and And judging by by this list of matches, Coco, we're going to be here a while.
Yeah, yeah. And not only, but it's gonna be fun to see. I'm glad I got to see the first couple 5-star matches, but it also sees like what Meltzer and what he sees as the greatest matches, and then going forward, and also you kind of because love or hate Meltzer, he's been doing this a long time, and he's got a finger on the pulse, and the thing is, we're gonna see what he and most of the wrestling community sees as the best matches going forward. So I don't know. I'm really excited in it, and not only that, but I don't have the best memory in the world. Obviously, these are before my time, but it's gonna be cool reliving matches that were part of my childhood and beyond. So I'm looking forward to it. Boobs, thank you very much. With that, I am over. Hey, ba-dum-bum-bum.